Hi there. Obviously, the biggest news of the moment is the fact that this coming weekend is the Ironman World Championship in Kona. And you can follow me on Twitter. I'm going to put the link up over here somewhere. At CoachEdu3 on Twitter, CoachEdu3, at CoachEdu3 on Twitter for updates and race day live commentary. But more on this and other upcoming events, together with a complete report back on all the events that made up last weekend's racing, make up this entire episode of The Week in Tri. But before we get into all of that, roll the intro. Okay, for those of you that are interested in some rather obscure, different type of triathlon, something to maybe put on your bucket list for the future. We all know about the Up to West triathlon that's on just about everybody's bucket list. But there's another triathlon that's having its second edition coming up in May 2016. And that's the Mont Ventoux triathlon. And that will be in May 2016. The Mont Ventoux triathlon is comprised of a 2-kilometer swim and 90-kilometer bike ride, including the famous climb up the Mont Ventoux, and the Ventoux is, from what I hear, is likely to be in the Tour de France for 2016 as well. So you'll be able to pre-ride it in May as part of the Mont Ventoux triathlon, and it finishes up with a 17-kilometer run up in that rarefied thin air in the lunar landscape that makes up the summit area of the Ventoux. So that's something maybe to put on your bucket list. And any other triathlon organizers out there, if you've got any interesting obscure triathlon that's a worthwhile bucket list item, by all means drop me a mail and I'll see what I can, or drop me a message through this YouTube channel. Post a comment underneath and then I can get hold of you and you can tell me about your obscure triathlon that I can feature here on The Week in Tri. But without further ado, let's look at what's the news from the different modalities. As far as XTERRA is concerned, absolutely nothing happening at the moment. 3 weeks to go, and then it's going to be the World Championships in Maui. But until then, nothing happening on the XTERRA front whatsoever. ITU front, now that the World Series triathlon season has come to an end, the World Cross Triathlon world title is wrapped up. It's only the ITU World Cup races on the international front that are still going on. And this past weekend we had a race in Cozumel, Mexico. Ueda and from Japan and Richard Murray from South Africa took the women's and men's title at Cozumel. The next up on the World Cup calendar will be Alanya in Turkey, and that will be the weekend of 17-18 October. This coming weekend on the ITU calendar, we've got the 9th of October is the American Middle Distance Triathlon Cup in the Galapagos region of Ecuador. The 10th of October happening, it just so happens that it clashes with Ironman Kona, so I've got no idea what sort of media coverage I'll get. Will be the European Cross Duathlon Championship, and that will be in the village of Castro in the Ordiales region of Spain. And then Sunday the 11th is the Premium American Cup Olympic Distance, and that is happening in Punta Guilarte Arroyo, and that's in Puerto Rico. So that wraps up the ITU news for the week. On Ironman front, one of the big items to come out of Kona in the run up to the World Championship that's happening on Saturday the 10th is the fact that defending women's champion Miranda Caffrey was involved in a minor cycling accident where she collided with a vehicle on the Wednesday of race week. That's just 3 days before defending the title against Angry Bird and others. In a way, it almost brings back memories of Chrissy Wellington's epic last race on the Big Island, where she raced the entire race and won, covered in road rash, and having an injury that prevented her hip flexors from working efficiently, and yet she still won that race. She was absolutely right out there on the raggedy edge. Calfrey was running her down, but just couldn't close the gap that Chrissy had built up in the bike. So, now, Miranda's got the road rash. Angry Bird's going to be chasing her. We'll have to wait and see how all of that unfolds. So, correction. Angry Bird, if I look at last year's race, had the lead, and Calfrey ran down something like a 12-minute deficit in last year's race. So we'll have to see what unfolds on Saturday the 10th. As I said, follow me on Twitter, and you'll be able to stay up to date, live commentary, interesting tidbits and facts that I'll be pulling out from the course during the course of race day. Follow me on Twitter for all of the information at CoachEdo3, and that's on Twitter. Then, looking at the past weekend on the Ironman front, we had on no races on Saturday the 3rd, but on Sunday the 4th there were 4 races that took place. The first one was in the Ironman Silverman, which was in Henderson, Nevada. It was a 70.3. Lauren Goss and Taylor Reid picked up the titles there. Gurye in Korea, another 70.3. Sarah Crowley and Anthony Costes picked up those titles. Barcelona, Spain, full distance Ironman, as I mentioned last week, that used to be Challenge Barcelona. The Ironman franchise just bought out the Challenge Barcelona organizers and turned the existing race from Challenge into an Ironman. So it's not a new event on the calendar, it's just a rebranding of the existing event. Ironman Barcelona, the full distance 140.6, and that was won by Yvonne van Vlerken in the women's race and David Plesse in the men's race. Finally, from last weekend, there was the Ironman 70.3 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. There we had Mariana Andrade picking up the women's title and Santiago Aseno picking up the men's title. Looking at this weekend, obviously everybody's focus is going to be on Saturday the 10th, where it's going to be Big Island Ironman World Championship, where we're going to be seeing if Sebastian Kienle can defend his men's title, see if Miranda Carefree with her road rash can defend the women's title. By far the most interesting race from my perspective is going to be the women's race between Carfree and Angry Bird, but we have to wait and see how everything unfolds there. Then on to Sunday the 11th of October, Louisville, Kentucky is going to be hosting a full distance Ironman of 140.6. I'm pretty sure that all of those that finish the big race in Kona will not be heading across to Kentucky to race the very next day. So I'm guessing that athletes that are not racing in Kona this year will maybe using Louisville, Kentucky to build up their Kona qualification points for next year. And with the stacked field that there is in Kona, I've absolutely no idea which top-line pros have managed to get lined up to be able to race in Louisville, but we'll have to wait and see how that race unfolds. So that, my friends, was the Week in Tri. Stay tuned to this channel for updates on the triathlon running training front, Mondays to Thursdays, and every Friday is the Week in Tri. Please post any comments, questions, criticisms that you may have, post those down below. Don't forget, click the thumbs up button if you like this type of content, thumbs down if not, that way I know what to be putting out in the future. Share this out amongst all your triathlon friends, and last but by no means least, if you're watching this in YouTube, down below the screen is a big red subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, so that way you can stay tuned to my channel, stay subscribed for all the content that comes out on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, and that way you can be getting next week's issue of the Week in Tri straight into your email inbox. So that's it for this week. Stay carved up for the win out there. I'll be seeing you next time. Cheers.